Palestine. In 1967, here Israeli settlers are taking over the West Bank lands, more and more. The government brings them over and tempts them, an occupation government, the one that holds power on borders and weapons. Since 1967, the number of Jewish settlers has increased dramatically in the West Bank. This is because every Jew on earth, even if they were born in Mozambique, have the right to take over a land as well as a citizenship here. A Jew can build, and it's easy for him. A Palestinian is restricted because their aim is clear.
So when I'm living in this place, it gives me a purpose, it gives me a reason.
We must learn the term Judaization. Judaization means to turn a place into a property of Jews. And to understand how we got this far, we need to go back in time. The story begins during the Ottoman era. A Jew named Herzl, the author of the Jewish State Book, he had the idea of creating a Jewish country, creating a nation for Jews from all across the globe. Herzl demanded to get a piece of land in Palestine from the Ottoman Sultan at that time, Abdul Hamid II, who had guardianship over Palestine. He rejected, of course. They kept trying and trying to establish a nation of their own. The Palestinians welcomed them as visitors.
We Jews intend to live in peace with the Arabs. We don't intend to come to Palestine as conquerors.
Until the Balfour Declaration came and made a whole mess, named after the British Minister of Foreign Affairs, 1917. This document has a promise for Jews. It approves the establishment of a home for Jews in Palestine, since Britain was powerful at that time, and the immigration of Jews accelerated from everywhere to Palestine, with support and temptations of the Zionist movement, and the encouragement and facilitation from Britain. Come over, this is your land. Didn't I tell you that behind every problem in the world there's Britain and France?
Surely the Jewish people is no less deserving than other people.
1948, the day of catastrophe. Britain announced withdrawal and the establishment of the State of Israel on the Palestinian land. They pulled back after enabling the Jews. This is how the map was split. But these lines don't mean borders, there are no borders. However, the occupied Palestine became within these lines. West Bank. It's called West Bank because it is located on the west side of the Jordan River. If you zoom into this map and look closely, you will see a curved line from here. This is where Jerusalem is divided, Palestine to the east within the whole of Jordan, and Israel to the west. Until 1967. When Israel occupied the rest of the land, parts of the west bank of the Jordan River, which enabled them to construct more settlements, because they have a Jewish belief and ideology that this land is theirs and they have to kick out everyone else.
The State of Israel is a Jewish project.
And they want to seize all areas around Jerusalem, circling around it.
These hardliners believe that Israel exists primarily for Jews and thus they're entitled to rights and benefits that others are not.
They believe of a circle around Jerusalem. Every house around Jerusalem should be taken by them, whether now or later. The belief exists.
I think that each Jew should get his own plot of land, and non-Jews shouldn't.
What about the ones who are already here?
They started building settlements in the West Bank after '67.
Jewish people have come home. That's not going to change.
They followed the land confiscation policy from the West Bank lands and building settlements over them, and bring over the Jews from any part of the world, no matter from which country or where they were born. As long as you're a Jew, you can take over a piece of land in the citizenship.
Right now, there's a right for Jews to come to Israel and to get your citizenship.
A land from whom? From a Palestinian. Look at how the Israeli government advertises the free houses and land in Jerusalem to Jews around the world.
If you've always felt a deep yearning for Jerusalem, now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity not only to stand within its gates, but also to build the home of your dreams there. A prestigious residential project is currently taking shape.
If you're a Palestinian, you can never come back, because Jews have this. They put settlers from Europe and America there instead of Palestinians. This is the reason they reproduce, to build more settlements.
Jewish settlers have moved to the Palestinian territories into settlements that are illegal according to the international law.
The Palestinian issue has passed through a whole lot of deadly stages, until they reached Oslo Accords. Oslo Accords, which is not implemented at the moment, is an international agreement at the early 90s. And the Zionist entity was recognized by the Palestine Liberation Organization, and the Palestine National Authority was created, which controls some parts of the bank.
فسكنوا المستوطنين بال2009 شهر 11 2009 هجموا.
لكن تم فصله من النص حي الشيخ جراح.
تهجير القسري جريمة حرب.
This is Muna al-Kurd. She's been defending her home for so long. And this Jew settler has taken over half of her house since 2009. The government sends settlers every now and then to bother the Palestinian residents. They try to let the whole world know about Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it. I have no ownership over this property.
You're from Brooklyn?
No, I'm from New York, from Long Island.
From New York. What right do you have to live here?
The right I have is that the owner of the house wants me to live here, and he wants there to be Jews living in this house, and he wants to... And I got chosen for whatever reason. It ended up being me.
Why do you steal more and more Palestinian land? Why do you steal land from the Palestinians?
In the Torah, God gave it to us, and it's our land, and we were here.
Jewish people have come home. That's not going to change.
Now let me tell you a very important matter. This is the old city of Eastern Jerusalem. And this is Al-Aqsa Mosque and Al-Haram Sharif, which is located within these walls, which spreads along 144,000 square meters. It's called Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. This is Eastern Jerusalem under Israeli occupation according to the UN and international law. Sheikh Jarrah is located within Eastern Jerusalem, 2 kilometers away from Al-Aqsa, in a critical location. If it turns into an Israeli settlement, which is Israel's plan, Jerusalem disappears and all settlements connect together. This circle, they plan on taking over all land around Jerusalem, to occupy it all. One of the closest neighborhoods to Al-Aqsa, that is around 1.5 to 2 kilometers away from Al-Aqsa Mosque. If it falls, all Jerusalem falls. Look at this channel, for example. They sent someone to ask the settlers the reason why they decide to live within a conflict. Why did a settler who comes from abroad and takes over someone else's house choose to live in a conflict?
The best view, the best weather, close to my parents.
There's peace. Life is so beautiful on this land. Next to Jerusalem, top schools and universities for their kids.
It's a great place to raise kids.
It's a beautiful view, and it's our beautiful land, and I love looking at it all the time.
After everything they say, God told us to live on this land.
God promised to us that this is our land. We can grow here if we listen to Him.
Can you imagine how they live and how Palestinians live in a siege? This is a conflict. It is a struggle, an ethnic cleansing, oppression, occupation. Let's think about it for a second. Who has power and weapons? Airports and borders are occupied. Gaza is under siege. They can only leave through Egypt at the crossing. Gaza has no Israelis. They retreated since 2005, but Gaza is under siege. Imagine over 2 million people are trapped in a small city. They're in a prison. Let's get back to Sheikh Jarrah, the beginning of events. Everything started in Sheikh Jarrah, when settlers were provoking and attacking Palestinians.
You want to see a Sheikh Jarrah Jewish?
Of course.
Without Arabs?
I want to see Jews.
Supported by security forces. Escalation has reached Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they bombed the mosque, as they bombed the first of the 2 Qiblas, the third holiest mosque in Islam, Al-Aqsa. They want Jews to cross through the mosque to get to the Barak wall, the western wall. But why are they doing this? Elections will take place, and Netanyahu has to yield to the hardliners' demands and support them. There are many strict extremists. In order to win the elections, he has to follow their demands and do what they want him to do. It's what they want. In the events of 2008, 9, 12, and 14,
appears to be war crimes. But what right did Britain have to grant you somebody else's country?
I recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
And the current events in 2021 made the Israeli analysts say that the Zionist project of establishing the current country of Israel is going downhill. It won't last 100 years. It's approaching the end.
with the